Hi, it's Sandy Parker, and welcome to Crafting for Almost Everyone. Well, I did the haul video, and I was going to incorporate into the haul video making a gift and packaging for that gift. But then once I did the video, I realized it was just too long, so I've cut it in half. The haul video is one video, and this is the second part. So I apologize if it seemed a little confusing, but I hope you'll appreciate the fact that I'm trying to look out for your time. Thanks so much, and I hope you enjoy this video. I wanted to make sure that my gift was inexpensive and thoughtful at the same time. I want to make sure also that it's presented really pretty, and so I like this paper, and I have some ribbon that matches, so I'm going to score it. I'm going to leave it at 12 inches. Oh, I do have to cut off the top. It's got that little edge. For those of you who've never bought 12 by 12 paper in a pack, the very top edge comes with like a ripped edge, so you have to take that off. You don't want that on your paper. And make sure if you're going to do what I'm doing, you want to make sure that your paper is not any thicker than this. It's not a thick paper, but it's not a thin paper. The very, very thin paper, like you would get 10 for $1 at Joann's, is a little bit too thin and might tear. So you want to be a little bit careful about that. And we're going to try and get as close to our trim mark as possible on this. I only cut a little bit of paper off. I don't want to cut much off. That's not my plan. And then I'm going to do the same with this piece and just cut that teeny tiny piece off. Then we're going to score it. I also have a video on, do you really need a scoreboard? If you don't have a scoreboard, and that's a board like this that makes folds in paper. If you're a crafter that you make cards, I think you really want one of these. And I bought mine through eBay because I buy a lot of my things through either eBay or a place called Split Coast Stampers, that is a bunch of Stampin Up reps that have created this website so that they could sell some of their things, and then you benefit from it. The thing that's nice about it is that you don't pay full price for things, and I don't like paying full price for anything, even my scoreboard. So mine is made by Martha Stewart, and I don't recommend the small scoreboards because anytime I've ever bought anything smaller than 12 inches, like the first time I bought a paper trimmer, I bought one that was like a 6 or 7 inch one because I thought, well, cards are small, and I was only making cards. Well, that was all well and good until I bought a 12-inch stack of paper, and then I couldn't actually cut it. So I always recommend, if you think there's a possibility that you're going to need a larger size, then get the larger size. I love when I talk to anybody who comes on my site and says, you know, I didn't know what a scoreboard was, or what a like trimming paper trimmers, which ones to get, until I came to your site, and I really appreciate that. So thanks for telling me when things like that happen. It makes me feel like I'm doing a good job explaining things and helping you find the right things for you, and also it helps me to know that I'm picking the right subjects to talk about. Now, this paper trim, or excuse me, scoreboard is also a paper trimmer, and I don't use it as a paper trimmer because I can't push this down consistently and cut the paper, so I'm just going to move it off the side, and it makes a horrible noise. For those of you who never heard it before, I apologize. Okay, you're going to put your paper up into the corner, and hopefully I'm in my camera, and normally these come in 8th or 16th inch marks that you can score on. I'm going to make a very, very small score. I think I'm going to do, I have to see how thick these things are. So I'm going to measure my thickness of my two pieces, and they're 1/4 inch. So if I make this 1/4 inch thick, that should be fine. So this is a 1/2 inch, this is 1/4 inch. 1/4 inch is kind of difficult to score on, but I'm going to go slowly and just do that. Then I'm going to go to the bottom, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm only going to score at 1/4 of an inch. Then I'm going to go to the right side, and I'm going to score at 1/4 of an inch. Now once you've done this, you're going to do it on both of your papers. Well, the first thing I decided to do before I make my bag is I'm going to make my tag to hang from my bag, and I'm using the stamp set Cookie Cutter Christmas because I think this little gingerbread man is cute and I thought he would work well. And I'm also using Wishing You a Season as Sweet and Joyful as the Friendship We Share, and I thought I would stamp the sentiment in Real Red, which is a Stampin' Up color, and it's a dye-based ink. If you don't know the difference between dye-based inks and other inks, I'll have a little tutorial on that, and we'll go over it in long, hard detail. You probably can't see the whole screen of my Misty, but I will make sure that you get to see the stamping part. But when I'm holding it up, these, oh, that really got wet, didn't it? Look at how, wow, that's seriously wet. Look at how my letters are just a little bit too crazy with ink. Hopefully that'll dry okay, but if it doesn't, you know, I'll just do it over. But hopefully it's going to dry all right. We'll just let it sit there. And I'm going to clean off the red stamp because I don't want it to stamp again, and I'm going to take it off just because of, I don't want to have more ink on it. Then I'm going to, I have a to and from stamp that I'm going to put on the other side of our tag because it's going to be a dangling tag. And then I'm using a crumb cake color for my little gingerbread fella. Boy, did I get that everywhere. As usual. I'll wipe it before you see it. It'll be like, it wasn't even there. Surprise, it wasn't there. Okay. Now, I stamped this gingerbread guy today earlier, and he looks real splotchy when you first do him. So I've been stamping him 2 or 3 times because he's hard for me to get an even coat of ink on. Well, let me just get a little bit of a Fantastic. If you're not familiar with these, they are these little pens, for lack of a better word, but this is like a stamping material that you can put in a stamp. So in a case like this where I didn't get him all stamped, you can just kind of stick it into your stamp pad and then rub it over the design where you're missing ink, and it covers up those boo-boos you leave behind. Okay, well, my stamp at the top still has some letters that aren't completely dry, but that's alright. Anyway, back to those Fantastics. You can buy those anywhere, and you usually buy them, you know, like any of the craft stores. You usually buy them in like a set of 5, and they're not expensive at all, but they're a nice tool. Then what you do is when you're done with that that color, you can snip that off and go on to another color. So it's, you know, they're very usable, and they're nice to have when you're not a proficient stamper like me. So that's just something you might want to think about to put on your list of things for in your stocking if you're a beginning stamper, because they are really helpful. I'm going to flip this over, put my magnets back down. If you don't know why I have all this washi tape on my magnets, I have problems with my magnets. These Misty magnets are very strong, and I have trouble with them smacking against each other and breaking. So I have put the washi tape on them, and it actually has really helped that problem. So I would recommend, if you get a Misty, I would recommend you do that, because it does make it a lot easier on you when it scares the crap out of you when they do that. It really is frightening. Okay, I'm just going to put a little bit on the, hopefully I don't have too much ink on it this time. It's better. When you get these new Stampin' Up ink pads, they're really, really juicy. And when they used to have a different type of pad, and when they changed over to this kind, I hated them because I just couldn't get that the amount of ink on my on my stamp accurate. So it was really frustrating to me at first until I kind of figured it out. Now I'm okay with it, but just like what I did on the other side with the letters, it just sometimes happens where I just get a lot of ink on it. Then the last thing I thought I would do, and this is just because I thought it would be cute, when you have these these ideas, you go, oh, that would be great, and then you just keep adding to them and adding to them and adding to them, and then finally you've got so many ideas going on, it's just crazy. You just keep changing them up. So that's what I'm doing with this. I'm just keep changing it up and coming up with more and more and more ideas. And in this case, I thought I'd show you an alternative to a fantastic, and that is a Q-tip. We'll see how well it works comparatively speaking, and if it's something that will work for you, because I always like to find ways I can save you money. What I thought I would do is, you know how you always have that little circle that goes around your the top of your hole? I thought it would be fun to make it green to match the green in my background on my paper. So I'm just going to use this Q-tip with some Distress ink, and this is Shabby Shutters. And I'm going to go around the outside edge with it, or around this, just around this little dot with that green, just to make it kind of fun. And then I thought I would also take one of my distressing tools and go around the outside edge of the green with it. And I have about a million different kinds of distressing tools. Also have a video on those. If you want to check that out, you should, because it gives you ideas on all the different ones that are out there, because there are so many kinds. This one's from Tupelo Designs. It is my favorite because it's easy for me to handle, and I just wanted to go just around the outside edge with this green and make it kind of make it more frisky and more matching my pattern of my paper. I probably could have done it with the Q-tip. Didn't try that though. I'm not shooting for total accuracy here. I just want to have some green on my edge, that's all. There. Now he's a little bit more, I don't know, sandified, we'll call it. I got a little bit more action on him. I could go a lot further with this. I could put sequins or rhinestones. I could put all kinds of stuff on it, but I'm going to stop there, because otherwise, I won't stop at all. I'll just keep going until I've lost my mind. We're going to go back to our bag now, and it's an easy process to make a bag. If you've never made one, this is your lucky day. You know how you buy those bags and you spend, well, at the Dollar Tree you spend $1 for one. Well, if you need a bag up to 12 inches, well, not quite 12 inches, I'm going to show you how to make your own and save yourself some money. Because when you buy a big pad of paper, you can buy a pad of paper for like $9.99 with like 50 pieces of paper in it. And if you do the math on it, that's what, 25 bags? So that's a big price savings. As you'll recall, I scored each edge at 1/4 inch, kind of bent it right there. You'll have a spot, let me see if I can put something under this so you can see it better. In each of the two bottom corners, you're going to have a place where this score line and this score line meet. You're going to want to get rid of that little tiny square. Just cut it out. I'll show you after I've done the other one. The reason is when you try to create something, you're going to end up with too much bulk in your corner, and you don't want that. So we're going to get rid of that. So when you're done with the bottoms of them, I've got a notch right there on both sides. We're going to fold under these pieces like this. All 3 sides. Now, if you have a bone folder, you can use it now to fold your paper up. You want to be careful, though, of cracking, so be careful when you bend it Your paper will crack if you're not too careful with it when you're doing things like this. So my recommendation is just to be gentle when you do it. And then after you've gently folded it once, then use your bone folder over it. Bone folders are another thing that you can use a lot of substitutes for. I have a comb I really like to use for a bone folder, and I have bone folders. A bone folder is strictly a tool that basically flattens paper. And I have one that's made out of Teflon right here. This is an expensive bone folder because it's not supposed to make any creases, any marks, blah blah blah. And everybody said I needed to get that. I'm not certain I need to have a Teflon one. I kind of like my comb, but it doesn't make any marks, and it's for me. I bought this particular shape because I thought it would be easier for me to hold, because a lot of bone folders are long and skinny, and I can't use long and skinny. I need short and fat, so that's what I have, short and fat one. And all I'm doing now is just creasing my paper and making sure that my sides are all folded up. My 3 sides. You only want 3 sides. Your top you're not going to fold. Okay. Then I'm using tear tape. You can use double-sided tape. You could use wet adhesive, any kind of wet glue. But this tear tape is really very, very sturdy. And I'm going to put it all the way to the edge. I don't want it to go past my upper, like the top of my seam of paper, because if you do, it's going to make the inside of your bag sticky, and obviously you don't want that. And then I'm going to put a piece on this side. You question what I mean by the top. I mean, see this red line? That's the top. That's the top edge of your paper. You don't want anything to get past that red edge. You also want to make sure when you're using tear tape that you get the edges folded down well, or adhered well, because that's how you're going to pull it off, and that can be really frustrating when you can't get that, when you can't get it off. You can't get the edges to unmask themselves. I'm only going to take a little bit off of this edge. I'm not going to take the whole side off. And of course, I didn't get that edge down good enough, so it didn't want to come off. Okay, I'm only going to take a little bit off, because then I'm going to lay this piece on it. Okay? Like that. And then I'm going to take this piece that's on the bottom off, and I'm going to show you my biggest secret when it comes to using anything like this, and that is I also use liquid glue, because if you put a little bit of liquid glue on here, you're going to be able to have a little bit of wiggling on it, and you won't end up having it stick down unevenly or in the wrong place and going, oh my god, how can I fix that? Okay, I'm going to pull this piece off completely and fold. And if you have any of your tape that's over your outside edge, fold it back under onto the paper. So I'm just making sure that all of my tear tape is folded onto the paper and not hanging off the edge. And now I'm going to take the rest of this one off and make sure it's not hanging off the edge, and I can already see there's a couple places that it is. It's not hard. You just fold it back under this towards you so that it's inside on your paper and not outside. Now, the secret part, and that is the wet glue. You can use any kind of wet glue at all. I'm going to use a little bit of art glitter glue just because I know it's a really wet glue, and it'll make it so that I don't have any spots that aren't that don't have a little bit of glue on them. And I have this little fine tip applicator with it, and it works really easy for me, and I'll go over that in that glue video if Rich ever gets it up. I keep telling him it's important to get up because it's a good video. There's a lot of information in it, and it's really long. That's why he wants to delay it. So, we're going to take our 2 pieces now, and I'm going to start at the bottom, and I'm going to make sure that this bottom piece is well glued and as flat as I can make it. I'll get that glue off the inside. That wasn't very smart. Okay, then I'm going to line my 2 pieces up. Okay, so as soon as I started putting my bag together, the camera cut out. You know how that goes with me. So I wanted to go over just a little bit more about it. I took pinking shears and cut the top right straight across. You don't have to do that, but if you have any of those decorator scissors like that your kids might have, you can just go across the top with those, or pinking shears. If you're not familiar with pinking shears, they have a zigzag cut to them. Can you see that? Anyway, that's what a pinking shear does, is it cuts a zigzag. So I did that, and then I took a pincher. Well, wait, I'm getting ahead of myself now. So what we're going to put inside our bag are these 2 coloring books, and we're going to put them in one at a time, and I'm putting mine in sideways because it's easier to put them in when the seam goes down first. We have plenty of room in our bag for everything that we have. There's the second one. Then I'm going to put the notepad worth of coloring in there. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I have a lot of duplicates of things, and I have a ton of gel pens that I've never used. So I kind of just went through my stash and came up with all of these and thought that they would be a good range of colors for them to have in their gift. They're silver and gold and black and white and all the range of colors of the rainbow. So I was going to tie them or put them in something pretty, but then I realized that that made them too bulky in my bag, and I didn't like the look of them, so I'm just going to slide them in. Well, or have them slide back out. Then, to close up our bag, as I said, what I did was I put that, I'll show you that. I have this little 1/4-inch circle punch, and I just shoved it as far down on my bag as I could and punched it. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up my 2 holes like that, if you can see that. Okay, so you're going to put your clip on like that. That's just going to even them out. I'm going to put it over on this side maybe. There you go. So then what I did was I doubled over my ribbon, I put it through the hole on my tag, and then I pull the 2 ends through it. Now you're going to need enough ribbon that you can make a knot on this bag. So I think I have enough. I'm going to put the back piece of ribbon. You know, see, there's a front piece and a back piece. I'm going to put the back piece through that hole. I'm going to turn it so I can actually get a hold of it on the back. You can use a pen to poke that through, or a pair of scissors. You just want to poke it through the hole. I can take off my clip now. I'm just going to tie this. I'm going to tie mine in a knot because I want it to be able to stay closed and travel well. It's one of those packages that's going to go in the mail, so you know, you got to make sure that if you're going to put something in the mail that it's going to be able to sustain it. And that's the bag after it's done and full. I think this was a great project. You'll have $3 in your coloring books, then whatever price it costs you to buy some pens, or use some ones you have on hand that you haven't used. You might have some Crayola markers. It doesn't really matter what you put in there. This is a gift of things that you think will work well with coloring. So whatever you feel is a good coloring source, it could be Crayola crayons for all that matters. It's all in what you see as a good gift. So you would put in your coloring medium of choice, and the price of that would depend on how much you paid for it, or if you already had it and hadn't used it, which is what I did with those gel pens, then that adds to the price, or no cost addition. All in all, with my tag, my ribbon, my paper, and everything I have inside, I have about $3.25 in everything. So that is a really inexpensive, but I think a big wow present. It's really cute, and once they open it, I think they'll really appreciate it. I'm really happy that you're watching this series on how to save money for Christmas and how to save time. I hope you'll give this a thumbs up and subscribe. Tell your friends about me on social media. I really appreciate it. And thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.